And this is really fitting that we're dealing with this right now, considering the topic of the day, which is Noah and the flood. Because here's the reality. People want to act as if there is no consequence. Remember, that's Satan's original lie. There is no consequence to your lifestyle. There is no consequence to your sinning. You know, what he told Eve, Eve said, if we eat of this fruit, even if we touch it, we're going to die. And he said, no, you shall not die. For God does know that in the day that you eat of it, you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So he's telling him, the devil tells people, there is no consequence to being disobedient. In your disobedience, you will become like God. In your disobedience, you will become like God. And so this idea of having this free will that I can do whatever I want, this is my life, this is my body, I can do whatever. Yes, you can. But there is a consequence. And why do you think if he destroyed all of mankind because of the wickedness of man was so great in the earth, that out of all of hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions on the earth, he only spared 8 people, 4 men and 4 women. He did that. And look what Peter says now. Go to 2 Peter, the 2nd chapter. All right, 2 Peter, 2nd chapter. You have it? I have it. All right.
2 Peter?
2 Peter. Yeah, 2 Peter, 2nd chapter. Okay. Start at verse 4. For Elohim spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. And spared not the old world, but saved Noah and the 8th person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, right? The people that's not like the Most High. And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemning them with overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. So if you need a sign of what will happen to ungodly people, look at Noah's flood, look at the result of the angels that fell, look at Sodom and Gomorrah. These are examples that the Most High had not planned. There is a consequence. Verse 7, and delivered just Lot, vexed with that filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them in seeing and hearing, that's what Megan was just talking about, hearing the filthiness, right? For that righteous man dwelling among them in seeing and hearing vexed his soul. That's what she experienced on that job. She was vexed with the conversation, right? It vexed his soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. But Yahweh knows how to deliver the godly, the righteous out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be what? Punished. Punished. Right? And we can keep reading, but it just, people need to recognize, I don't care what a person chooses to do. That's your choice. But just go into it with your eyes wide open and don't be fooled in thinking that you can live any old kind of way and there's not going to be a consequence. Because there is a consequence.
I'm trying to tell that girl out there in the car, she's at her teacher tell her that she don't have to read the Bible, she don't have to pray, or none of that to get, to God and all that kind of
There's
stuff.
a major conspiracy in education today.
Yes.
It's a major, in fact, I was listening to somebody the other day. Professors at school, especially when you send your kids to college, those professors are saying, now understand, I've got degrees. I am much smarter than your parents. So this stuff I'm going to teach you, it supersedes anything that you've learned up to this point, especially if they try to teach you about the Bible.
Is that what they told you?
Yes, that's what professors are saying today.
Oh, have mercy.
They're teaching your kids to disrespect the parents who are dumb to be reading out of a old ancient book. They don't understand that we have been given wisdom from above. And this book it is an ancient book, but there's no book like it. There's no book like it because what makes the Bible different from any other book on the planet? It is a book of prophecy.
Right.
It is a book of prophecy. It told the end from the beginning. It told the end from the beginning, right? That's what makes the Bible so special, because the Most High, he lives outside of time. See, for him, if you look at this clean sheet of paper, this right here, this circle represents time, right? This circle represents time, and the Most High is on the outside of that, right? So he lives outside of time. So if this circle is time, then everything that happens inside of time, he's standing outside of that. He's already seen the end from the beginning of everything that happens in time. So he already knows. He knows in that circle of time is every human that ever lived, that every act that's ever been committed, that everything that's ever has been and gonna be is already happened in time for him, because he stands outside of time. So he can look at time and say, okay, at that point in time, this is going to happen. And at that point in time, this is going to happen, right? Because he lives outside of time. And at the end of time, it's going to be the culmination of all things, because it's going to be a great white throne judgment. And all these people that were sitting back here, I'm going to judge them right here. And then I'm going to take time and get rid of it. And then and it's going to be an eternity future. And everybody that was righteous before me, that did those things that are pleasing in my sight, I'm going to take them out of time and transfer them into eternity with me, and they can throw it away in their watches now, because there's nothing but eternity left. That's what the future holds. And the person that created that future is a person that stands outside of time. So in his standing outside of time, he made a decision to do something. I'm going to write a book. It's going to be called the Bible. 66 different books that's going to be outlining different events that's going to happen in time. And I can write that book and give it to men because I know what's happening, because I'm standing on the outside. I already know the end from the beginning. And there are certain events that I'll allow to happen, but there are some major events that's got to happen, because I'm sovereign. Sovereign. I dictate what has to happen because I am Elohim. I created all this. I created time. I see that hand. And so certain things have to happen the way I designed it to happen. No man can stop my plan from happening. They can try it. They tried to kill my son when he was being born. They killed all those firstborn up to the age of 2. But I told Joseph, take your family out of here and go hide until the person trying to kill you has died.
But it had to happen, right?
It had to happen because it was prophesied, right? It was prophesied that there's going to be crying in Ramah, because they're looking for their children and there were no more. So that was prophesied hundreds of years before Yeshua came in the flesh. Why? Because he stands outside of time. He already knows it's going to happen. He knew it was going to be an evil king. That when he heard that the king of kings was born, he's going to try to take him out so that he doesn't live, so his kingdom won't be threatened. And so he already knew that. He knows everything. Nothing takes the Most High by surprise.
Now, when it comes to choice, I guess he, and I'm just saying, because
it's a good question. Go ahead, finish it up.
I know he would not want a person to be killed, but people make choices. So with him standing outside of time, and does he know that this choice is gonna make that, and then just let it happen? I mean, I'm just
that's a great question. It's a great question. Now, let's look at some specific individuals. There are some people whose lives do not have a major consequence in the plan of the Most High.
Okay.
Think about it. When we read in the book of Genesis, we read where Adam knew Eve and had sons and daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Who are those sons and daughters? They weren't even given a name in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
They were not even given a name in the Bible. Some of those people probably killed each other.
Mm-hmm.
During a time of wickedness, some of those people killed each other. But guess what? We don't know who they are because they had no consequence to the major plan. But guess who did have a consequence?
Cain and Abel.
Well, Cain and Abel,
Mhm.
they were mentioned because that was the first crime, right? And another person who was mentioned, Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Noah was mentioned, and his 3 sons were mentioned by name
Mm-hmm.
because Noah and his 3 sons were going to populate the rest of the world after the flood. So there are people who have a major part to play in the plan of the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
And there are others whose part is not as critical to the overall scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, free will, everybody who's ever lived have free will,
Mm-hmm.
but the free will of the king who was trying to kill Yeshua at his birth was going to upset the plan of the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had to spare Yeshua. He had to give him a dream. In fact, I think it was he gave him a dream. Joseph's dream and said, "You got to get up out of here, man.
Mm-hmm.
Go into Egypt, flee into Egypt until the time is right, and then come back." And when he came back, he still felt some
Fear.
apprehension, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, "Okay, we got to go to Nazareth."
Mm-hmm.
And that all led to the place where he's supposed to be, because he said he's going to be called a Nazarene.
Mm-hmm.
So he finally got him to the place he had to be to launch his ministry when he became of age.
Mm-hmm.
So all the plans happened the way it was designed. But there are many things that happen in this world that has a consequence to the people that it's affecting,
Mm-hmm.
but it does not have a major consequence to the plan of the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is. So we all have free will. But sometimes the Most High will spare us because our life may have an impact on an individual's life who may have a key part to play in his plan.
Wow.
Yeah. I watched a movie. And this woman was really fed up with her life. She was an eternal, and her and her team were eternals. They would go in and rescue people, and they would get shot up. I mean, and they die, and then next thing you know, they come back to life, and bullets would be popping out of their head and stuff, right? And the oldest one was a female, and she was like, "I'm really tired. I mean, this civilization is so wicked, and all these bad things keep happening, and for what's the purpose?" And so she really became disillusioned with her life. And so there was this man whose wife had died of cancer or something, some disease. And so he learned about them, and he began to study history. And he literally had mapped out everywhere that they had gone and the events that had taken place and the lives that they had saved through their existence, right? And at the end, it was showing that in this one situation, a life that they saved, was going to be a person who's going to create penicillin. And another life they saved, another great scientific breakthrough was going to be realized. And so it was just life after life that this group of people, these Eternals, were participating in wars and different things and rescuing people. And in every campaign, there was one critical life that was saved that was going to go on, that's going to impact humanity in a major way, right? So they didn't see it, but this person who was trying to find them, he found the history and the impact that their lives have made. And so we don't always know, how significant our lives are. right? We don't know if we have that one life that's gonna have that significant, because it could be one person could have a conversation with one person who could have a conversation with another person who could lead to a person who could end up impacting thousands, right? And so we don't know how significant our lives are. All we can do is live our lives to the best, and just pray that we're able to fulfill the mission that the Most High gave us, because we just don't know. We don't know the impact of it. Only He knows that, right? Only He knows that.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the reasons why, for me, we had, the enemy kept fighting in our ability to record and the different thing, because, everybody's under the sound of my voice right now. I'm sitting here today doing this teaching because of Megan. Megan could talk to you. Somehow you talked to Terry, and she had questions, and she wasn't getting the stuff she needed. And so it came upon my heart. Okay, let's just start this Bible study. I'm gonna do this Bible study if nobody show up but Megan, right? I'm gonna do this Bible study because her soul is important. My pastoral ministry is because of Bohanna's family. I mean, that story. I was literally having a dream of these children saying, "Come and help us." And the first day, I'm at that building, getting that building ready. All the Bohanna kids, all the elementary kids. I'm sure Megan, you was probably one of them, right?
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't there?
She was older.
You was older than? Okay, but all of the, Chris, and all of them came. They came and, what you doing? And I said, well, I'm just getting the building ready for church. Can we help you? And then when I get done, can we stay the night with you? And I said, well, I don't know. You got to go ask your mama. And she gave permission to stay the night with me at the church. And I got up the next day, took her to McDonald's, man, got a McDonald's breakfast. And Bohanna's have been in my life ever since. Ever since. And so when we ceased the first ministry, and it was difficult. It was difficult, but the transition into Hebrew and then all the different things, some people just did not want to go from Sunday to Saturday.
They were caught up in tradition.
In tradition of man. Right?
They asked me about, are you a 7-day Adventist or whatever? I say, no. I said, we doing
They got some truth. 7-day Adventists got some truth.
Right.
Yeah, but and that's one of them. They know the Sabbath. The Sabbath is the right day. They don't keep all those pagan holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been an interesting discussion, and it's fitting because of we're laying the foundation really for the pagan discussion that we're going to be having in the next couple of weeks. All right, Shavua Tov. You have a blessed week.